Hi, everybody, and welcome to Women Create, Worlds Behind the Scenes with the amazing Kudi Maradzika. We're so excited to have this amazing woman, this amazing queen joining us today for a discussion on behind the scenes in media. So, hi, Kudi, would you just like to introduce yourself to everybody who's watching?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. So my name is Kudi Maradzika. I am a multidisciplinarian, a media practitioner on screen, behind the cameras, voice work, acting, writing, producing. So I'm like a Swiss Army knife of TV and film production, basically.
I love that description, a Swiss Army knife of production. That's really great and very colorful. So I just want to ask you a few questions. And I guess first of all, as just maybe for you to take us through your journey in TV and media, like why did you go for that and how did that whole journey start?
So I think that journey started as like a few people might remember is with Tanya Radzwa, which I remember it was an audition that was like put on like one of the drama boards at Convent where I was, and I auditioned. I thought nothing of it, and then they picked me for the part. So I did that film, and I think I was just quite young. I didn't really understand what was happening, but I was just like, cool, this is a film, got into it, and then apparently it was big. And I think it just reoriented my perspective in terms of what I could do in life. Because growing up in Zimbabwe, obviously there isn't like a clear defined path of media or getting into the media space. So for me, this was more like an endpoint. And it happened to convince my parents that I could then study this and do this as a livelihood. After that, I then auditioned to get into UCT, originally like the theater and performance stream, which is like very competitive, like the top of the theater talent in South Africa. I got into that, but I remember walking into the first theater class at UCT, looking around and going, I don't want to be broke. So I went back on the bus and I changed my major to film theory and production because my thinking at that time was if I can understand all aspects of this, including production, I can eventually write content to put myself in, right?
Yeah.
That was a long time ago. Obviously, I veered off track a little bit, but the idea of that as the goal is still in mind. So after that, I worked a little bit in the newspaper space, but it wasn't really what I wanted to do. And then I came back to Johannesburg because I was in Cape Town, came back to Joburg and started working for a production company there. Worked more and more in that space, did some scripted stuff as well, which I think is where my heart really is, and which is what I really love, actually, like drama, films, TV. If there's a script and there's characters, give it to me. I love it, love it, love it. And then eventually I went back to Cape Town for a brief period, got into development for TV shows and TV ideas, which is more the business side of aspect of it. The budgeting, the selling of it, because, a TV concept is a product basically, and there's a TV market, just like how there's a New York Stock Exchange, for example, but that happens like once a year. People buy and sell formats in a way. So I got to understanding that. And then I was headhunted and then went back to Johannesburg to work for Viacom, and they basically own MTV, MTV-based, Comedy Central, BET, and Nickelodeon. So that is where I currently am now, and I'm producing all of the local productions for them. Yeah, and in addition to that, I do quite a lot of like voice work, voice acting, that sort of thing. And there's another project in the pipelines, which I can't talk about. I don't want to jinx it, just cross those fingers, yeah.
Oh, wow, that's just so amazing. I think we don't hear enough of these amazing success stories of women, and just not only just looking at women, but just like Zimbabweans in general that like literally go out there and just like, I always say this, like we Zimbabweans, we go out there and we do the most. And like, I'm yet to meet a Zimbabwean who leaves the country and like isn't successful at like, the things that they do. And it's just so fantastic to hear about your story and your journey. Was your decision to move to SA like an easy choice, or like was that always in your life plan, regardless of like what career path you were going to go into?
Before I answer that, I'm sorry, I just need to charge my laptop before it dies.
No worries.
Give me a second. Okay. cables everywhere. There we go.
No, that was me the other day. I had another Zoom session that I was doing, and then I assumed that my battery had enough power, and then I think we were left with about 15 minutes and my battery was on 5%. So I had to message someone to like bring me my power pack. I was like, please, can you bring the power pack? And I had to keep a straight face while I was still in the session.
There's chaos happening behind me. How are you?
Yeah. Okay, coolies. So yeah, I'll just ask the question again. So was the move to SA an easy decision for you? You know, was it always in the pipelines, or was it just?
It was not actually in the pipeline. I need to tell you the story. So I was finished at UCT, worked as a journalist at some point, came back to Zim, worked at Haifa in what I will call now like a gap year. And honestly, I was just like a little bit lost directionally. I didn't really know like where I was going to go, what I was going to do. And I was partying a little bit too hard. And I think my mother got really concerned. So one day I came back from going out and my mom was just like, yo, I booked your ticket to Joburg. You're going to go stay with your sister and find a job. And I was like, what? I'm going to leave with my friends. It's like, yeah, you're leaving tomorrow. Literally, like, and overnight I had to say bye to all my friends. I was leaving all of a sudden. And my mom was just like, yo, you need to go. Like, I don't like the project that you're going on here. So I came back to Joburg. My sister had friends who eventually helped me get a job, got a job in the media space. And then the rest is history. But I would say a lot of the times things are decided for you and it's for the better. So thanks, Mom.
I'm sure back then you were probably really angry and confused, and now you're just like, oh wow, that was like a good call on her part. Oh, that's great. Okay, so I think this is like an obvious thing, is that like South Africa is really eons ahead of Zimbabwe in terms of like production and like media houses and things like that. Given that like you're a woman and a young woman at that, like getting into the industry, I mean, you said early on, you mentioned that you were headhunted. Like, was that an easy opportunity, do you think, for you? I think even like all of the opportunities that you got to like be in the industry itself, was that easy for you, especially looking at it as being a woman?
Yeah, look, I would say, to answer the initial question, being a woman, is that a challenging thing? Absolutely. Sometimes you walk into spaces and you're the only woman, and because you're young, people don't necessarily take you seriously. But I think I've perfected like a certain tone, which is just no nonsense, which tends to get information across, and people kind of respect that. But also I would say like the body of the work that you've done precedes you. Your reputation always precedes you in any room that you walk in. And a lot of the opportunities that you have is mostly about how you market yourself and the PR around your image. So a lot of people are very good at that. So you need to be in spaces and networks where people who do what you do are present, right? That's the only way that people in the industry know who you are and what you do. So join the relevant bodies or organizations that deal specifically with what you do, know people, understand what's happening in the industry, network with these individuals, because those are the people who sometimes make decisions, but those are also ultimately the people who in a lot of cases will be your collaborators as well. So I guess it's just a case of any industry, basically. You are as strong as your network. So you need to understand that. And it's funny for me because I used to hate that, like, oh, why do I need to like be talking to people all the time, you know? But I would actually give like a random figure and say 60% of the success you have in any industry is about your network, right? It's people who will call you before the job is even advertised. So you need to understand that, and the better your network, the better you are in the long run. Added to the fact that you need to hustle. You need to really always have great work, you know, all the time. You need to put your best foot forward all the time.
No, that's so true. I think I was having a discussion with some people in civic tech the other day, and we were talking about how I think we live in a day and age where a lot of young people just expect things to happen. Like they'll just wake up in the morning and say, well, I'm pretty good at what I do. Like, so I should be great at it, and I should get the opportunities. But at the end of the day, it's really important that you have to put in the work. You have to have all of the experiences, the great ones and the bad ones, for you to then get to a point where you are, you know, established and this amazing person in the industry. So I think that's really great advice that you've given there. Do you have any like specific experiences where you felt like being a Black woman like disadvantaged you? I put it in quotes because I don't think it's a disadvantage, but I think sometimes it tends to sometimes feel like a curse because of how people tend to treat women, specifically Black women, and then we can keep going further into it.
The disadvantage is that you walk in a room and people automatically think they have an idea of who you are. They think they have an idea of your body of knowledge and your proficiency and expertise. And I will always say to Zimbabweans, you have no idea just how beneficial the fact that we are so articulate comes across in a room, because that can sway anyone's opinions in literally half a second. You walk in a room, people have an expectation, you open your mouth, you start speaking, and people are like, wow, okay, I don't know who that person is. And I always say to people, we are so in Zimbabwe to be so articulate, to be so smart. And I don't think we really understand like the value of literacy across in Zimbabwe, because you will have a lot of people that, and the fact that we're like hard work and our work ethic is beyond. So as much as, yeah, sure, I've walked into rooms where people think a certain thing about you, I think I've always managed to change that perception through, you know, how I handle myself and how I deliver my work, and steadfastness and like attention to detail, man. It's going back to practice that in everything that you do. People will start knowing you for that. They'll start knowing you for being the person who's really good at what she does, but also she's just well put together and well spoken. And I think it's easy to then break that mold in a way, the more you grow in your industry and your career path.
No, that's really beautiful advice. Thank you so much for that. Just a few more questions. Are there any like active steps or any like initiatives or any things that you're doing as an individual or as a collective that's like helping out more young women in the film industry?
Yeah, so I'm part of a group called Girls in Film. This is started by my friend Hallie Hola, and she is an amazing, amazing film, TV and film director. And what it does is just, it's a page basically, which gives inspiration by interviewing different people who are in the industry, talking about them, giving tips and advice to young women who want to break into the industry. In addition to that, there's a few people that I mentor as well. And I'd like to think that my leadership style is very mentor based in terms of like, I'm a coach and I try and advise people not only in the specific career position they are in now, but just to have an overall idea of where they want to see themselves. So I think it's something that I have taken on in terms of how I function, because it's good to inspire people every step of the way and as you go. Because another thing about the industry is people who you start working off with sometimes are sometimes people who are decision makers later on. So I think you need to treat every single person you meet as though you are trying to better them, not in a patronizing way, but trying to impart something valuable to them that'll help them grow. Yeah.
No, definitely. I think that's really powerful, because I think a lot of the times you find that people have this perception that when someone gets into a position of power or into an influential position, or like they establish themselves to a certain level, they have no interest with like, you know, trying to help out their community or to help out other people to get to that level or state that they're in. So I think it's really great that you're actually doing something very active and you're making conscious active steps towards helping out other people in the industry, which I think is really fantastic and very commendable. So I just have one last question. Again, thank you so much for doing this session with us. Do you have any words of wisdom or any tips that you would just like to share with women, you know, with any young person that's just interested in getting into film and media? Do you have any like last words or tips that you'd like to share with them so that they can kind of kickstart their careers?
I would say this is not for women specifically, but I think it's geared towards women because it's the experience that I have, right? I would say as a young woman, the thing that you need to get right, first of all, is you need to be financially independent rather, because that will allow you to make decisions that aren't tied to expectations that you don't necessarily believe in, right? It'll allow you to pursue your passion. Will allow you to pursue what you believe in wholeheartedly without fearing, right? So this means, and this is a form of like a side hustle, for example. I remember once people laughing at me because I used to actually have a job, but I would have like 1 or 2 side hustles on the side because I had that in mind. I was just like, no, I need to save in order to get to a position where I'm comfortable in order to pursue my passion. So I would say that is the biggest thing. Second thing is find a group of people, be it friends or family or your partner. Whoever chooses a partner is very important because that person needs to be supportive of everything that you decide to do. Because often I find that women have great ambitions and great passions, but the moment you are in a relationship or the moment you become a mother, a lot of those things fall to the side. And I always think that's such a pity because I think the marker of a true balanced partnership is someone who will allow you to pursue those dreams and passions. So that's the second point. And I think the third point ultimately is have a very strong set of values and don't compromise on them. So know what you're about, know what your worth is, and don't compromise on that in any shape, form, or capacity. Because you'll always get chances in the industry, whether it's people who are like unwanted advances or people who are, people who try and shortchange you in terms of your worth. Like you will always get that in the industry. And if you have a very strong sense of what your value system is and what your worth is, you will very easily walk away from these situations. And oftentimes you find that if you walk away from a situation like this, something else comes up that's a lot better that doesn't require you to compromise on that value system. And I would say the last thing is just work hard. Like the hustle is the hustle. And a lot of the times I think people really underestimate just how much it takes to achieve something. So for example, I always think of like Usain Bolt is probably running right now, even though he doesn't have a competition, because it's a sense of always practicing, always being good at your craft, that 10,000 hours premise type of thing. And it is that there's no such thing as an overnight success. Like if you think that right now, you need to throw it out. You're not going to wake up one day, be discovered on Instagram, someone wants to cast you in a film. It's not going to happen. That never happens. So if you want to be an actress, if you want to be in TV or film, start right now where you are with what you have. Start making little films on your phone. Start doing little things on TikTok in terms of acting. Get your talent out there because no one is coming to save you. And that's it.
I think that's really great. Like no one is coming to save you. It is just you. It's all on you to get your act together and to get your career started. I think that's always such an important thing, is that sometimes people just wait for like that big call from Hollywood and like, oh my gosh, I'm waiting for that big break. And you're like, honey, like just start small and like you'll eventually get to the point where you will get discovered. Which I think is really
9 billion.
Exactly.
And like everyone. There's 9 billion people on the planet. No one's going to single-handedly choose. You are special, but you're not that special. I'm sorry. And make yourself that special. Otherwise, people know.
Yeah, that's so true. That is so true. Thank you so much for making time to speak with us today. We really appreciate it. And we're just gonna ask everybody to keep their eyes out for the exciting new things that you're working on. And also just, we're really excited that, you've had an opportunity to just come through and talk to us and inspire so many other young people to just really put themselves out there and really just start working hard. And you are a living testimony that like with hard work and knowing what you want, you will eventually start making the moves that you need to make, and you will eventually, become as successful as you want to be. So thank you so much, Kudi, for making time. And we wish you all the best in all of your endeavors. Please do mention me in your Oscar awards. Just be like, like, yes, I
Well,
remember
I'll
I
tell
was
you what,
once.
I remember when I was a substitute teacher is how the speech will start.
And that's perfectly fine. So people actually believe when I say that I actually know her, guys. Like, I'm not just claiming. So yeah, thank you so much, and have a great day.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Enjoy as well.
Alrighty.